Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Okay, welcome. We'll call the Board of Selectmen's meeting for December 11th, 2024. Just a reminder, this is a special meeting. Item 1, to receive a report from Brian Devlin, Superintendent Wastewater Treatment Facility, for the emergency work necessary for the removal and replacement of 6-inch pipkin to the check valve structure from the wet well. Wet well at Riverside Pump Station. The work was performed by Layden Industries LLC at a cost of $17,502.41.
Yeah, the force mains from the wet well to the check valve, they rotted out on us, so we had to replace them. We also had a bypass pump in place for the work that had to be done. It had rotted out over the years, so we replaced the check valves, also the force main pipe into the pumps. And it was an emergency job we had to get.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Move second to accept the report. Any comments here? None. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item passes. Item 2, to consider and if appropriate approve a request from Brian Devlin, Superintendent Wastewater Treatment Facility, to waive the bid for smoke testing of approximately 24,000 linear feet of 8-inch gravity sewer lines and 1,400 linear feet of 10-inch gravity sewer lines, and award the contract to Savvy and Sons for a total cost of $21,250.
Yes, in the past, I had another company do work in the past that was a little more expensive, so I ended up with Savvy and Sons. We had good luck with them in the past. This is for a flow study we're doing in an area of town to look for I&I, infiltration of the flow into the pipes, and if we run into any issues at that point, we'll sleeve the pipes. And this was the cost to do the particular amount of footage that's required for the survey that we're doing.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Move second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item
Thank you,
passes.
Brian.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Item 3, to consider and if appropriate approve a request from Gary Zielinski, Director of Public Works, to waive the bid for CCTV drainage and pipe inspection, jetting and removal services, and award the contract to Aqualis using the following rates: jet vac combo truck and crew, $4,000 per day; CCTV with crew, $3,024.45 per day; and mobilization and demobilization for CCTV and crew, $2,550 per job location. All right. Gary, you want to just hit this
Yeah.
request?
So this service is needed to gather information prior to road reconstruction in these two neighborhoods listed. The Heritage Hill neighborhood, there's 5 roads there, and Hickory Hill Road off of Mill Plain, Huntington Drive, High Plains, and Mirage. This is just to gather information, the condition of our pipelines. So reached out to 6 companies. 2 were not equipped or qualified. 1 did not respond, but 3 others provided rates with description of services. Now, with the 3 contractors, they all agreed to take, of the 2 neighborhoods listed, there's 5,000 linear feet of drainage infrastructure to be inspected and taped. The neighborhoods, they all agreed to take approximately 5 days each. Okay. One company who had the highest rate, who came in with the highest rate, had provided services to the town in the past with a really favorable performance. Okay. But for obvious reasons, they're the highest. There's another company that provided the lowest rate, with a less than favorable experience I had. So I'm requesting to contract Aqualis as a more reasonable, responsible choice.
Okay. All right, and that's the mid company. All right. All right.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
As we move second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Item carries.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item 4, to consider and if appropriate approve a request from Alex Paluzzi, Director of Parks and Recreation, to waive the requirement for advertising and bidding for paving work at Sliney Fields lot and award the contract to Maizano, Inc. for a total cost of $38,500. 3 quotes were received. Maizano, Inc. was the lowest. Just to clarify, although there's some paving that'll done, primarily this is a reclaim and regrading of the existing stone lot. All right.
Correct.
Set the
And I just want to share also too that Parkside Village had utilized our parking lot. We've shared it, through Little League and all the events we had down there the last couple of years. So it took a little bit of a beating, and we thought about in the past to maybe pave the whole thing, but because of the way it drains, it wasn't really that much needed. But we definitely needed to pave a couple handicap parking spaces, and also coming off the ramp off the hill, they have a wheelchair ramp that comes off, and it's something that's had to be, really needed to be done for many years. But the good news is that Parkside Village has agreed to pay for 50% of the cost, so we're going to be getting reimbursed from Parkside Village.
Well, just to
Beacon.
clarify, Beacon Properties.
Excuse me, yeah, Beacon Properties is going to share the costs with the town.
All we're really doing here is waiving the advertising, right? He's got-
Correct, yeah, we got
Right.
multiple pricing, the same as, yeah. 3 quotes you did, right?
3, yes.
3, yeah.
I'll move it.
All right,
Second.
move second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 5, to consider and if appropriate approve a request from James Finch, Finance Director, to waive the bid for the purchase of a pension administration software and award the contract in the amount of $38,600. I don't believe Jim is not here right now, however, he did provide the information regarding this. He did make a presentation to the Board of Finance to get this funded. I believe this will be funded out of the ARPA dollars. This was the last request. This item will still go to the RTM, I believe tonight. They'll be acting on the appropriation as well. This is a pension administration software, which right now they're doing a lot of that work in the finance department, just kind of through their own spreadsheets that they've created and trying to assist those who are current retired, or those who are in the pension system and are contributing and looking to retire. So this will help them kind of provide all that information, and eventually I believe even the pensioners themselves will be able to access it to review their pensions.
So moved.
Second.
Let's move seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, item passes. Item 6, green use, to consider and if appropriate approve a request from Shabbat Lubavitch for the shoreline for the use of the town green on December 18th, 2024 through January 5th, 2025 for the placement of a menorah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Move second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item passes. To consider and for appropriate approve a request from Branford Parks and Recreation Department for the use of the town green on January 3rd, 2025 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hold annual first night bonfire event.
So moved.
Second.
Move second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item passes. Appointments, Branford Housing Authority, Bonnie Ballantyne to fill a vacancy left by Andy Wright, term to expire April 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Move second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item passes. Item 8, to consider and if appropriate, approve the following resolution. Resolved that the town of Branford may enter into with and deliver to the state of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection any and all documents which it deems to be necessary or appropriate for the grant amount of $75,088.53 for the operation and maintenance of a pump-out vessels and construction, purchase, installation of a new marine sewage disposal facility, pump-out vessels, or repair or upgrade of the existing MSDF pump-out vessel for the 2025 season, and further resolve that James B. Cosgrove, as first selectman of the town of Branford, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the town of Branford, and to do and perform all acts and things which he deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents. This resolution is necessary to apply for funding through the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection to support the pump-out vessel program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, it's moved second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item passes. Correspondence, we have a letter from Michelle Benavegna, Vice Chairman of the Community Dining Room, dated December 10th, 2024.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Benavegna. I'm the Vice Chair of the Community Dining Room and a member of the VSC Committee, and I'm here today to address an important matter by reading a letter onto the record regarding a safety concern at the VSC building at 30 Harrison Avenue. Dear members of the Board of Selectmen, my name is Michelle Benavegna, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Community Dining Room. I am here this evening to speak on behalf of the Volunteer Service Center Committee regarding the building located at 30 Harrison Avenue, which is shared by several vital organizations: the Community Dining Room, Friends of the Library, the Food Pantry, and BH Care Clothing Bank. These organizations serve a critical lifeline to Branford residents and those from neighboring towns, providing essential services to those in need. Unfortunately, the building's generator, an outdated and unsafe unit, has become a serious safety concern. Most recently, in September, the generator began to smoke, nearly causing a fire that could have been deadly. Thankfully, there were people present in the building who smelled the smoke before the alarms went off. They immediately contacted emergency services, and thanks to the swift response of the Branford Fire Department, the situation was averted and no injuries or property damage. This close call is not a surprise to the organizations that use this building daily. When the generator fails, the resulting power outages cause food spoilage that relies on refrigeration. Food is meant to help the Community Dining Room and Food Pantry meet the needs of the Branford's most vulnerable population. These consequences of the outages are not just financial, they result in hungry residents going without meals that they depend on. Despite these ongoing concerns, the VSC board and town of Branford have not yet been able to address the issue. The generator has been evaluated and deemed irreparable due to the age of its parts. While it continues to operate after the smoking incident, its safety is now highly questionable. To further emphasize the dangerous state of the generator, it is still housed inside the building, a practice that would no longer be allowed by modern safety codes. I urge the Board of Selectmen to recognize the vital role these organizations play in the Branford community and prioritize the safety of those who work in and visit the Volunteer Services Center. In doing so, I respectfully request that funds be allocated in the upcoming fiscal year for the installation of a new generator, one that is safe, reliable, and compliant with current safety standards, including the requirement that it is located outside of the building. These organizations are dedicated to serving Branford's most vulnerable populations, and the safety of their staff, volunteers, and clients must not be compromised. I implore you to help them continue their important work by funding this much-needed upgrade to the generator. Thank you for your attention to this critical matter. Sincerely, Michelle Benavegna. Thank you.
Just to clarify a couple things, because I think was your request was to request that the town funds it in the upcoming fiscal year budget?
My request is that it be considered for the funding in the coming fiscal year, yes.
All right, because I have a few concerns, and
Okay.
I did reach out to you yesterday and
Yes,
share
we did
that.
chat about this, yes.
quite honestly, I'm not sure what, and you're here representing.
I'm here on behalf of the community dining room, but I am a member of the volunteer
VSC?
services as one of the 2 seats that the community dining room has on
All
that
right.
board.
And just so the public's aware, I'm sure you're aware, the VSC is an umbrella organization that represents 4 organizations that occupy the old Harrison Street Police Station School. The community dining room, the Branford Food Pantry, the clothing, BH Cares Clothing Bank, and Friends of the Blackstone have space in there as well. However, the town has a lease with the VSC for, in exchange for $1 a year. They lease the building and the space, and we maintain the outside of the structure. In the lease itself, so where any of the equipment that's responsible for carrying out the operations is the responsibility of the tenants, of which, my understanding and talking to our facilities, that this generator solely powers the refrigerators and the freezers, that there's no other circuits that are on this generator.
Okay.
So I think both the community dining room as well as the pantry have refrigeration, obviously, to store the food. I was actually informed by a member of the VSC, actually, quite honestly, a number of years ago, and just confirmed with the current chairman of the VSC that the VSC had allocated $50,000 of their funds to address the generator needs. So again, I was informed of that a couple years ago. I'm not sure if any steps were taken by the VSC or the internal organizations that utilize it to address that. That's something, nobody has come forward and updated whether they have taken steps. Clearly, they
have not.
It sounds like it haven't. But on the same, and I want to say, nobody has come forward, and I meet with representatives from each of those organizations I have met over the time, and come and voice this concern. You stated that it's been assessed. I did check with our facilities supervisor as far as being, not being able to be fixed or addressed. He stated that it was an assessment that he has done, and it currently is operational, that a damper had frozen up and it started to overheat. That's what was creating the smoke. It exhausts outside, but he said that has since been addressed. So is there any documentation, because you raised some very serious concerns, which I think as the owner or the town being the owner of the property, concerned about keeping that up, where I know you requested to have it considered for funding for next fiscal year, but you raised a life and safety issue, which you actually, by the letter, sounds potentially, imminent, in terms of the condition. So I guess my question, which I didn't get an answer to before, is is there an assessment that you it's referenced in the letter? If that could be shared
Okay.
with the town, but also, I think a dialogue in terms of what are the next steps, because really, I don't want to put, I'm trying to balance this out in terms of if we have another power outage, the concern of the tenant organizations, that the refrigeration is tied to that generator, but the concern you kind of laid out here, I think we have to consider if the generator should just be disconnected immediately.
Right,
based
no.
on what you're saying. So
Yep. So I understand everything you've said. So I am fairly new to the VSC. From the meetings that I've attended, though, the generator, and from my conversations with my time on the CDR board, the generator has been a topic of the meetings for quite some time. That is why they allocated those funds for it. The logistics of who is responsible for the generator, I don't think has been very clear, due to the age of the building and the fact that the generator has been grandfathered in and is inside the building, automatically, just by default, makes it a tenant-owned issue, I guess, according to what you're stating. If it was on the exterior of the building, which by normal codes now would be outside of the building, would fall into Branford's Because you're saying the outside
No, I'm
of the
saying
building.
the generator was there, I mean, that, 20, just over 20 years ago,
Right.
there was an opportunity, these organizations moved in there. This was a vacant building. I believe, Ray, you would know, that generator was there.
Yeah.
When I
It
started.
was there when we started. It was part of the building. The generator serves no, from my understanding, the only purpose that the generator serves is really to ensure that there's backup power for the refrigeration and the freezers and the refrigerators that the community dining room, and I believe the pantry use as well.
Yes.
So, that, and that, like you said, a couple of years ago, I was informed that the VSC was going to address the generator issue with, and as you just confirmed as well, with the $50,000.
Correct.
So
So I don't truly
again,
know the exact reason why it never got purchased. I don't have that history. What I am here tonight to do is to try to bring attention to the urgency of this matter, to get it on the forefront, whether it means having more conversations with the VSC board and the town of Branford regarding this space. It just seems not to be getting addressed. It comes up at meetings and then dies on the vine. And then we had this issue in September, which it was concerning to the volunteers and the people who enter there. And there is obviously, disconnecting it would potentially be an issue if we do have a power outage and there is some food spoilage. However, the safety and well-being of those who are there are, in my opinion, more valuable than if food does go bad. Because again, they called the fire department prior to the alarms even being triggered because they smelt the smoke, because the building happened to be occupied when this happened. So my letter was for it to be on the record and to hopefully start a constructive conversation that will lead to some kind of resolution, whether it be Branford coming to the VSC and saying you are solely responsible, or we're willing to pitch in and share because these organizations that utilize this space serve so many members of our community. We're willing to help you with that. But to just generate some kind of a constructive conversation, because there has been no conversation, which you've already stated, that hasn't even come to your desk yet, and you have your chair is a representative of Branford. So that is why I'm here tonight.
Yeah, and I just would also, as far as Branford support, I think
Absolutely,
certainly
you do
Branford-
support, right?
I think that the people of Branford, the taxpayers of Branford, support the VSC and the organizations that are in there. And some of these organizations, as you know,
Yeah.
serve multiple towns.
Absolutely.
But, in terms of the providing the space, we've always been, I feel, anytime I've been contacted by any of the organizations, I don't think just with my administration, obviously previous administrations, as well as just the town as a whole, I believe we've been responsive. That's why, in terms of sending this letter, you said an event that took place in September, and, where I'm just voicing my concern based on what was in the letter, that, we may have to,
And that's
obviously take some
understood.
measures. We also opened it up, which I believe each in terms of the ARPA funding, which I believe each organization requested and received some of the town ARPA dollars for specific needs that they had. Once again, we just this month are in the process. I think tonight the RTM is going to vote on the final ARPA dollars. That's what.
Well,
the
then
point is,
clearly there's a breakdown between the communication between the VSC.
I appreciate you bringing it forward.
Yeah.
I think you stated you're pretty new to the VSC.
I'm pretty new to the
Well,
VSC, and I just know it's been
yeah.
going on for quite some time, and it's
So-
come up at our board meetings at the CDR. And again, this is just to start the conversation, but it was very concerning, and I just didn't want
Well,
this issue to keep
I'll
going.
reach out to the members. I did already reach out. They said that the board had not, I talked to the chairman, he said that the board had not acted on this request yet. I know you said you circulated, but they discussed it, but they had not acted on. But I'll reach out and follow up. Like I said, I've been followed up with our facility supervisor. I did reach out to the fire chief as well to get some information about this particular event, because, once again, I do have some concerns about what you had stated in that letter. Just so you know, for the future, as being a relatively new member, you can always contact, we lost, sounds like, 3 months since this event took place, and for it to come to the board at this point, we're not being contacted, reach out to me. Trista is always, willing to set up meetings, and I have met, and I think
No, we have.
members. No, I have met with members
right.
of the organizations that have occupied that since then, and this issue has never come up.
And this letter, and which I said to you yesterday, this letter was not something that I just crafted on my own. It was sent out to the committee for the review with days to get their feedback. I read you the responses that I received, so they were all for it, and no, I'm here this evening. So, and I also sent an email out to everyone last evening stating that there was a special meeting and they're welcome to join. So they were well aware I was here, and no one reached out to say, hold up. So again, hopefully we can have a constructive meeting on this and come to a mutual agreement that keeps both the services to the residents of Branford and the neighboring communities, but also keep the volunteers and those who use the space safe.
But if you can, the one final thing is, I just ask if whoever has that assessment that you stated was
I will.
done,
Yes,
please forward that
we will.
to as soon as possible.
Sure.
Because I think that's important to have.
Absolutely. Anything else? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
You gotta come up there.
Good evening, Judy Barron, Executive Director for the Community Dining Room. Just to add a little bit of background history, which you may or may not know, but I'm pretty sure you probably do. With regards to the setup of the current generator, and have been in that building now for almost 10 years, part of that generator is affected by other town services as well. So as the police department is going through a renovation, the pumps that were there for the gas pumps, they would have to flick our switch on our generator and shut us off to allow for people to get gas when they needed to during, inclement weather or in circumstances where we were utilizing that generator. So it really requires all of us to kind of have a further conversation together and not necessarily just the VSC part of the $50,000 that we allocate and put aside, because we would rely on information from the GGB and the setup and how that dynamic would look together, because the operations kind of correlate, right? So for us to keep our operations going and for people to pump gas at the same time, granted that's being rectified now during the renovations, we're under that kind of setup, and that's how it is because it's a 30-year-old unit and one does affect the other in a town service versus the VSC services. So just to offer some clarification to that.
Yeah,
There wasn't a line from the PD going to the gas pump?
No,
From
it was
the generator?
So I would leave that to other people to comment on versus me. I just was told, and when we were doing services during that time, when we had inclement weather and we were utilizing the generator, that ours would shut off for them to be able to turn that on. So we're flipping switches consistently to allow for different services in emergency personnel as well as for the food entities as well. And our current generator, just for some history on that as well, because we've had so much expansion for individuals in need, does not even generate for all of the refrigeration for the food pantry as well as the community.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about maybe bringing some information to us when you have your meetings. The size of a generator, maybe 2 generators. I don't know. I'm not technically.
So the history of that allocation further goes into, each of the town entities, each of the entities and the town have representation on that board. So we rely mainly on our chair to be able to facilitate those conversations versus having to come in and have a multitude of conversations, which you always have an open door for us to be able to do so. But we rely on that to be segued through. And because there's such a question sometimes of the entities in the building and outgrowing space, which is a whole nother conversation, sometimes this generator conversation has been put on pause as a result. So that may still be on the table, but in the interim, there needs to be a resolution so that all of us can sustain in case something were to happen for the future. But outside of it just being not safe because of the occurrence that happened in September, as you know, we've outgrown the space altogether, so it's not really even servicing the amount in an emergency that we currently have as well.
Yeah, I would just, I'm sorry.
No, that's
Jeff,
quite all right.
about-
No, that's fine.
Just to clarify that the gas pump has since been, it moved, this is no more gas. So I did confirm today with the building supervisor that the only thing that's on that generator is the refrigeration. He was going to check if there was an air conditioning, but he felt that it was just the refrigeration. I do recall when the VSC board member had informed me that they had allocated some money, and this is just something while it's top of my mind. To your point about the demand, perhaps, and again, I know there's some, we're not sure what the future may hold. I know the organizations are growing, expanding, and it's a very limited site, and that's why I had previous discussions about perhaps looking at alternative sites. But regards to refrigeration, I know Eversource is providing significant incentives to, with refrigeration upgrades and freezer upgrades. So that's something the board may want to explore if you're going to, combine this with new refrigeration, because you could probably not only
We don't need new refrigeration.
Well,
We're up to date on all the refrigeration we could fit in the building.
well, but you have, I've seen your thing, you got some of them, unless did you replace those
We've
old?
replaced each of the entities have replaced their walk-in coolers with grants, so we've got new walk-in coolers
okay,
that are more
that's a-
energy
yeah.
efficient.
All right,
But
yeah, that's what I was
we don't
saying.
need any more refrigeration, we just need a generator in an emergency that will allow us to keep that food.
At the time when the individual came forward, or the board members said that they had the 50,000, they were still under the old, must have been the dated refrigeration system, because he was saying about the demand that they were drawing, and that's when I said you could probably lessen your demand if you upgrade those refrigeration systems. So, but
We
it
have
sounds.
upgraded them,
All
but it's
right,
not lessening
yeah.
the demand for sure.
Yeah.
So we are in a predicament that hopefully the town can support part of that funding as well as the VSC, because that's why the 50,000 was originally allocated to work together at that time. And at the time, it was a shared kind of component with the pumps that were present then versus now. And I think we can all agree 30 years is a long time for a generator. And whether we stay or move, it's something that we can address now versus later. So thank you. I just wanted to offer some
Yeah.
clarification.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Any other items? Oh, yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Move second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.